Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles.
My name is Kirk.
The 2025 NFL previews have begun.
We're back, baby. Here we go. We're into sweet July. The season when everybody is so overhyped. Oh, it's wonderful. Anybody can win.
Pure optimism.
Yep. Everyone's 0-0. Your draft picks are clearly going to be, hits.
Every free agent addition bolsters your team, and every departure is a good departure.
Yeah.
Ignoring that these are the same players as we talk about across all teams.
I know.
It's absolutely asinine exercise that we're going to do 8 episodes each division.
Hey, you got to have an opinion, you know.
It's nice to just kind of get to know the storylines and the pieces, though. So
yeah,
today we are talking AFC South, Titans, Jags, Colts, Texans, and we'll be back for 7 more episodes, just division by division.
Yeah, going to start with the dumpster fire that is the AFC South.
the best one to knock off the cobwebs.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's going to listen to this anyway.
Yeah, well, you never know. Maybe somebody in Tennessee's a big Cam Ward fan, and they're like, oh, I'm getting into it this year.
To get every little morsel they can get about Cam Ward.
Oh, yeah.
Which it's been tough going.
Oh, yeah.
People are just not talking about Cam Ward.
Yeah. Most underrated number 1 pick in the world.
Yeah.
Well, in the history of football.
It truly feels like quarterback-wise.
Yeah. But let's skip him for now.
Let's skip him for now and start with Houston. The Tennessee guy's like, oh, come on. Well, what we're going to go through, we'll give every team about 10, 12 minutes, and we'll pick the over-under for the season. So that's the path here. And yes, we have to start with the division winner. That's about respect.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So the Houston Texans, 2 in a row.
2 in a row.
We'd gone a few years in the AFC South without
somebody leapfrogged somebody.
Yeah.
People going from worst to first.
They kind of limped. They limped to their playoff appearance last year. They were 10-7. They got a wild card win even.
Oh yeah.
And then they met a real AFC contender, and it was just a sobering experience.
They got bullied.
Absolutely bullied by the Chiefs. Just like last year, they got bullied by the Ravens. Right before the wild card or the divisional round loss that the Texans had last year, they got blown out on Christmas Day by the Texans, right? Or I'm sorry, by the Chiefs.
Chiefs? No, was it the Ravens one?
The Chiefs and the Ravens blew them out within 5 days.
Yeah, that was sad.
So the point was really driven home on our TV screens. The Texans are not there yet with the big boys.
They limped in. CJ Stroud entered last season with, he's a top 5 quarterback aspirations, and he had that sophomore slump. He had it hard.
And a lot of people blame the offensive line. I think as we kind of go through this, I'll probably blame the offensive line too.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it felt like watching it.
It was. He just didn't have any time.
Yeah.
And his receivers keep getting bled. He's got Nico Collins, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. There were so many injuries last year. The thing that worried me, just jumping right into CJ Stroud, can he bounce back from the sophomore slump? The thing that worried me was at first he was like Herculean effort. It's good on screen. It's just not coming up to the stats.
Yeah.
Near the end, it looked like he was like, his mechanics were devolving. He was panicking. He was bailing early.
Yeah.
Like it was taking its toll on his game. And, is he going to have the yips now? Did they ruin him?
Yeah. And we think it's offensive line. I know they did a few things this offseason to try to bring in some names to shore up that the massive pressure. Because it was like sometimes it's just hike 1 second, got to make a decision.
It was bad.
He was rolling out way too quick.
Yeah. Well, they got rid of their best offensive lineman, Laramie Tunsil.
That always helps.
Absolute consensus across everyone that he was a locker room cancer, though. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Which is, surprising.
Is that a PR smear campaign or not?
Yeah, but I figure if you lose your best offensive lineman, you got to smear him.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. You gotta paint him in a bad light.
Yeah, it's mandatory. That's just politics, baby.
Yeah, because we're doing this before training camp, we don't really know who's going to win the jobs, but they have like legitimate competitions across the offensive line. They drafted a second round guy.
Yep.
Their second round pick last year has got a chance to compete. They brought in Cam Robinson from the Vikings, previously Jaguars. They brought in Tomlinson from the 49ers. Like, lots of guys. Juice Scruggs is there.
Ooh.
Just by name.
That's a
Just
name.
by name.
That's
he
a
needs
name
to
I
be a
could
guard.
get behind. Yeah. But I like it. Lots of depth. Some of those five. They're going to find something that works with this team.
Yeah, and it feels like there's another aspect too, which is the new offensive coordinator and the new offensive line coach.
Yes.
So it is, as DeMarco Ryans called it, it is a reset.
Yes.
And this is what they should have done, because that's how bad it looked.
It was bad. Their defense saved them last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the offensive reset. CJ Stroud, hopefully he doesn't have the yips. You got a star receiver in Nico Collins, who I always say is like a top 5. Like, he's got to be up there in that conversation.
He's getting there.
He's awesome. Like,
he's getting there. I've noticed in fantasy drafts, he's like late first round, early second round now.
Okay.
And people are saying like he's got a Julio Jones-ish aspect to his game. Which
not
I
so
like.
Underrated anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Christian Kirk is there.
Hey,
coming out of the slot.
That's a big acquisition.
He's in a contract year, so as far as his career, this is when he does good.
Yeah, right. Right before you need to get paid.
Yeah.
I like it when he goes to a new team, and now he's not like the dude. He can play a little slot role, do his thing.
I'm feeling like we just talked about this, like every team full of optimism. But
Yeah.
I like what they've done. I like this reset button. The new offensive coordinator, Nick Cali.
Nick Cali, that's his name.
They bring in a new he's a McVay guy, but he's also like a Patriots guy. And the offensive line coach, he was also kind of like a young Patriot in the Patriots organization back when Belichick was there.
Okay.
That kind of fits well with all of this and kind of gives them a little extra oomph.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is the shape of improvement. This was enough.
This was clearly the weak spot, and they addressed it hard.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause DeMeco Ryans has always been a defensive-minded head coach.
Yeah.
And he's built that defense the way he wants it. Will Anderson stepping up hard. Stingley, I think his name is.
Yep.
Yeah, the DB. He's fantastic. But
Yeah.
this is really the Houston's question this year is, will CJ Stroud have the yips? Will he come back?
Yeah.
Will it just be a sophomore slump, or will this be kind of his career? He had a flash in the pan his rookie year, had some lucky games.
Yeah.
But I like what they're adding.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like that they hit the reset button this early, because some teams don't. You made it to the playoffs 2 years in a row, won 2 playoff games.
Right.
You made it to the divisional round, and now you're like, this isn't good enough. Let's get better. Let's keep pushing the envelope. I love that.
Yeah, because on paper, 2024 is not different than 2023 as far as winning the division, winning a wild card game, and losing a divisional round to a team that you should have lost to.
Exactly.
But it didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
It felt like the AFC South was almost won by default. Like the Texans in any other division would have faltered.
Yeah.
They were 10-7, 5 of their wins were AFC South.
Yeah.
The Titans were absolutely imploding. The Jaguars were absolutely imploding. The Colts were absolutely imploding.
And they just got handed the division.
Yeah. It's so easy to forget what it felt like. And that's what I really like about doing these previews, kind of remembering that. And actually last year we had called that. They had an over-under of 9.5 last year.
Okay.
And we had said, like, well, we think CJ Stroud's going to slump, but we think the AFC South is so weak
that they're still winning the division.
We both took the over on that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And this year, it's the same. 9.5.
Really?
Over under.
I'm surprised it didn't go up a little.
Yeah. What do you think? You think over under this year for 2025 Houston Texans?
Oh, man. I do kind of like this team. I like DeMeco Ryans as a head coach. He's grown on me. And, a sophomore slump, I think, is appropriately named. It's just the sophomore year, I think you take the leap. They're addressing the problems that need addressing that they probably should have done the year before it, and they didn't. And they got bit hard by that. But I think they know how to win close games. Remember the Lions game? Just the defense was just absolutely picking off Jared Goff last year, like 5 interceptions or something.
That's a nice game.
I think they still lost it.
They did.
Yeah, but
that's Jared Goff football, baby.
But they know how to stay in games that are close and maybe pull it out at the end, but they also know how to just buckle down and just beat a bad team.
Yeah.
So I think that they can do that for at least 10 games.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a reasonable number.
I think that too. I think I'm just going to kind of go with the same line. Like, I believe in Ryans. think it's a well-coached team. There's a lot of good staff there. CJ Stroud, we obviously can't say for sure, but it wasn't just 2023. I remember watching that game he played against the Georgia Bulldogs, the best college football defense of all time.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone agrees with that. He threw 6 touchdowns, and some of them were absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of slowly trickled away at CJ Stroud, and he was eventually drafted 2nd overall instead of 1st overall. But I mean, I believe in Stroud. I believe in Ryans. I think there's still a weak division here. I'm going over again.
Weak division. They have bolstered the offensive line. Last year, they were throwing like digs at it. Like let's get more offensive weapons. That's not the cycle.
That's not the cycle.
But the defense is solid.
Mm-hmm. They've got
Stingley, Will Anderson. I think they brought in
C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah. Like that defense is going to keep them in games. 10 is very reasonable. I think they'll win more than 10.
I'm in. Yeah. I'm in. All right, let's go to the other 3 dumpster fires of the AFC South.
Man, these teams, man. What are we doing?
Indianapolis Colts, a picture of mediocrity. They were finished 8-9 last year. They were 2-2 when they benched Richardson because he took himself out of the game.
He got tired.
Yeah. They were 3-4 when he got hurt.
Yep.
They were 5-6 when they dramatically ended Aaron Rodgers and the Jets.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Richardson drove them down the field for this game winner, and then they just continued. Like they up and down, all the way to an 8-9 record. Like every little spike up or spike down was met with kind of the opposite effect, and they finished. It would have been 8-8 if it was a 16-game season, right? They finished right in the middle, and
they
was uninspiring.
They got the pieces, and it just kind of sucks. I mean, this is 3rd year for Steichen, right?
Right. Yeah, he's going into his 3rd year. He's 17-17. It's like talk about
we gotta
middle.
We gotta have a leap at some point. But I think the story with the Colts, and it will be until there is some improvement or some disastrous, disprovement of Anthony Richardson.
Right.
That's where the story lies with the Colts. Because Jonathan Taylor's good enough. The offensive line's starting to get a little old, so like the moment's kind of now.
You're right.
And if Anthony Richardson can't throw more than 50% completion percentage, like you gotta cut that cord at some point, because this is getting a little sad.
Yeah.
The first 2 years have been ugly. Yes, there's big, huge plays. Week 1 last year, he throws that ridiculous bomb to Pierce or whatever.
Yeah.
But like
that was freaking awesome.
But he can't complete a little 5-yard check down pass. He can't do it.
Yeah, he can't hit the sideline routes.
Yeah. And it's like, will that finally improve? Will they actually address that problem? Is it even possible? Because you drafted a guy that played 1 year of college, said he's got all the attributes. Is your coaching good enough to finally get to year 3 and be like, it's all together now? We can win more than an 8-8 season. Like,
I'm gonna say no.
No,
like I
lost faith.
I've lost faith.
Yeah,
and it's not about necessarily that I'm some scout and I've seen Anthony Richardson, but it is the frequency with which he misses those routine throws, the sideline throws.
Yeah,
and I guess you have to have some respect for how hard it is to play quarterback in the NFL. If you have gone 2 years as an Indianapolis Colt and you're still missing that stuff, like that's just a bad sign.
Yeah. And
it's not a bad sign in terms of like he's like, oh, he must be one of the worst people in the world. No, I'm saying he's not one of the 15 best in the world at this. I feel like that's a really high bar, and you shouldn't. None of these other quarterbacks have that moment where it's like, oh, just got to get those screen passes. Like,
yeah, right.
They don't have that.
Yeah.
He's very young, and I feel like this is all just another name in the Josh Allen churn. Josh Allen improved his mechanics, and it's just broken the minds of the GMs.
Everyone's like, we all can do this. Yeah, it doesn't work that way all the time.
And but the thing when I read about what Josh Allen did from Wisconsin to Buffalo in his first few years, it is truly like an inner like drive that brought him to that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you really read about what he did, it wasn't the Bills, it wasn't, anybody but him and the work that he put in.
Yeah.
And I don't think Anthony Richardson's doing that based on little nuggets that have come out from the coaching staff.
Yeah.
The coaching staff sometimes give like, if he can, like that's code for he's not working hard.
Kind of on you still, like we're going to give you all the tools you got, but you're the one who's got to put them together.
Yeah. So I don't think Anthony Richardson is going to be the franchise guy. But good news.
Oh.
They brought in Daniel Jones.
Oh, God. This is great news. Oh, my goodness.
And they say this is a quarterback competition in training camp.
I know they say that.
But you don't believe it.
But, like, there's no way that they start week 1 going, you know what? Like, even a Colts fan would be like, you got to be kidding me. We're going to start Daniel Jones over the guy we got for the 4th overall pick just a couple years ago.
Is this maybe just one of those Bill Walsh psychology moves?
I think so.
For Anthony Richardson?
They're trying to motivate him.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to fall for it because anybody that looks at Daniel Jones just goes like, that's not a competition. I don't know. Because Daniel Jones isn't like super accurate. Get the ball down the field. Like they bring different things to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Richardson throws a great deep ball.
Yeah.
It honestly reminds me more like Cam Newton rather than Josh Allen, but the league has seen Cam Newton already.
Yeah.
Defensive coordinators know how to stop this now. Unless Richardson becomes a very mobile, like read options and we're running the ball 15 times a game quarterback, I don't see this team really getting there.
I don't either. And I think just to put some respect on Cam Newton, I feel like Anthony Richardson wishes he was Cam Newton.
Oh, that he could get there?
I don't think he even has that.
Yeah, I don't either. And, it's sad because they have pieces that work without Richardson. Like, Jonathan Taylor's best games are without Richardson. Michael Pittman's best games without Richardson. Like, then there's the guys that do good.
That's a bad sign.
They have, like, 2 different teams.
Yeah.
And no wonder they ended up 8 and 9 then. Yeah.
Richardson is just a short-term burning up his health, and he's winning his legs. Even that big drive where he drove down the field and defeated the Jets and really ended the Jets season when there was like a little glimmer of hope for them. That was a big moment, but it was all with his legs, and that's not going to age well.
No.
I mean, he's not going to continue to be able to do that. He's only played 15 games, and he's probably finished 10 of them. He's always hurt.
So
he's
not
not
like
developing.
He hasn't got the experience the last 2 years.
I just couldn't be more down on it. And I don't think like the roster around this is really that good. I think the offensive line has gone off the cliff.
They did lose Ryan Kelly as center. I just read that.
And that was a big piece.
Center is a huge piece.
Yeah. He was one of the big dogs.
I think they got plenty of weapons. I guess that's why I said that.
Yeah, well, Taylor and Pittman are great. If Pittman can be healthy
Pittman's great. Pierce stepped up last year. They got Downs, I think they had. So they got like...
Oh, yeah, Downs. I like
There's
Downs.
like pieces, but it's like New Orleans Saints pieces.
Yep.
Like, oh, yeah, we got to love him. Kamara, this is fantastic. But like, we don't have anybody to run the system. And I'm kind of with you, because last year I was gung-ho on the Colts making that leap. I was like, okay, Richardson's finally going to be healthy. He's going to play this game. He's going to complete at least 55% of his passes or figure out how to get 10-yard first downs when it's 2nd and 8.
Yep.
But he never did. The whole year. He was just in and out of the lineup, never really figured it out. And I know we haven't talked about the defense much, but they haven't done a whole lot there either.
No. Well, it was really hard on them, too, to have a quarterback who would sail a 3rd and 3 10,000 feet over the the running back's head. But yeah, they struggled, and they got rid of Gus Bradley as defensive coordinator. They brought in Big Lou Anaromo from the Bengals.
Somehow got a job.
Which is like, and in every book that you read, it's like, the Bengals are better for losing Big Lou. The Colts are better for getting Big Lou. The Colts are better for losing Gus Bradley. The 49ers are better for getting Gus Bradley. It's like, everything is good. Everything.
Classic, off-season hype for everybody. Yeah.
And and I know Big Lou comes and he says aggressiveness, but the Colts, they've got gaps in their defense.
They got gaps, and Big Lou got smoked last year.
Yeah.
Why did the Bengals miss the playoffs last year?
Oh, it was
probably because of the
defense.
defense and Big Lou.
Yeah, he's got. I do love the middle of the Colts line, the defensive line. I'm glad you mentioned the defense. I just always like to just shout out. There is some like really good pieces there, and they brought in Chidarius Ward from Kansas City, the Minnesota safety as well, who had a breakout year. They brought him in.
Is that Nick Cross?
No, it's like Bynum, I think.
Okay. Oh, they brought in the safety. They got 194 tackles the last 3 years. Nick Cross, apparently.
Okay.
Just read that. Don't know who he is, though.
But this is off-season fodder.
Yeah.
We love this in the off-season. Oh, they brought in reinforcements. The cavalry's coming up.
Everything's going to fit. But, clearly they need to do something to try to get to where they want to be. Yeah. And unfortunately, if Richardson's not going to lead this team, it's got to be defense. It's got to be ball control with Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. And Shane Steichen, man, like he's a year away from being on the hot seat.
He is.
He has a bad year this year. Like people will be calling for his name.
Yeah.
That's sad. I don't think it's his fault, but sometimes you just get paired up with the wrong guy, and that's the way things go.
I think if that does happen, I think he'll be back. I've liked what he's done. And I think you said it right there. The defense will need to be like driving a playoff run. Good. Like that good to do this. They have a higher bar than some of the other defenses we'll talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So the over-under for them is 7.5.
Ooh, okay.
So still...
God, they're good at this stuff.
I know, aren't they? Vegas knows how to keep the money on both sides. Yeah. Right? What do you think?
7.5. They're a classic 500 team, which should leave them at 8.
Yeah, that put them at 8 and 9. Yeah.
Oh man.
Or 9 and 8.
I think it kind of goes bad this year. And I'm usually a Colts hype guy.
You picked them to win the division last year.
And I like Taylor, I like Pittman, but I just don't think Richardson knows how to work it with these guys. Yeah. And then, I don't trust Daniel Jones coming in there.
Well, I'm an under after everything I just said about Anthony Richardson.
I mean, I think I'm going to have to go under. That's a good line, but I see like 7. Yeah. Maybe they get the lucky and they get the 8th, but this is definitely one I'm not gambling on because this could go either way. Like,
yeah. You don't want to gamble on the AFC South at all, really.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's tough to be a Colts fan, like have a bunch of hype for him this year, which could be a good thing. Sometimes when you're underrated, under the radar, you don't have the hype.
It would be really cool to see Anthony
just playing
Richardson
football.
do really well because he's such a physical runner, and if he could put together some like real passing game chops, that would be like really fun to watch on TV.
But I think, like you were saying, he's only played really like 10 games.
Right.
That's just not enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's just continue. Hey, don't worry, folks. We got the Titans coming up.
This is the 3rd best team in the division. God.
Jaguars, just horrible year last year, 4-13. We just I lost them off my radar. They had won that playoff game in 2022. They started 2023 looking good.
Yeah.
Then they dropped 5 of 6 to miss the playoffs of 2023. They started 2024 with 4 straight losses. And by October of last year, I feel like I just couldn't even care about the Jaguars anymore.
I just went back to thinking they're the same old top 10 pick in the draft Jaguars.
So it only took 12 months to go from the new hotness to don't even care about them anymore.
Which is such a shame.
The nadir of it was they got blown out by the Lions 52-6 right in there. And they were just the joke of the league again. Trevor Lawrence you're in year 4, dude.
This is the time, dude.
Yeah, it's like
we gave you a big fat contract.
Yeah,
you're supposed to be the dude.
So they're resetting. Stop us if you heard it before.
So we're done with Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson's gone.
You're out.
They bring in Liam Cohen.
Oh yeah,
he was the offensive coordinator for the Bucs last year.
Another offensive coordinator for the Bucs getting a job.
Exactly. Comes through the Rams pipeline. Yep. So before that, he was with Sean McVay. It is a very young coaching staff that they've brought in.
New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. Yep. Yeah,
their GM is 34 years old.
Whew.
They traded up, made a huge splash in the draft and got Travis Hunter. I mean, it is all new. Yep. And I think it's what Trevor Lawrence needs, first of all, going now into year 5.
Yeah.
He needs a new start, a new fresh something. But I mean, are you buying this? Are you feeling this? Because there's some hype for the Jaguars because of these moves.
There is some hype, and sometimes ignorance is bliss. I feel like young, they think they got it. I'm sure they're going to like what they see in training camp and all that. I mean, Lawrence has got some experience now, so I think he'll probably know best. But I'm a little worried because it's so young.
Yeah.
Like, Brian Thomas is all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, this guy is fantastic and great. And yes, he had a good year last year, but the team also sucked. So
a lot of garbage time. I like Thomas, but it was a lot of garbage time.
You got a lot of garbage time stats. So are you actually a good receiver that can move the chains? And then, of course, the hype around
Travis Hunter,
is going to be the talk of the first month of the season. It's all going to be about Hunter playing both sides of the ball. And they're going to do it. I'm convinced now. And I don't think it's the thing you should do, but they will do it.
I mean, I agree with. I don't want them to do this.
Yeah,
it's just don't.
Just pick a side. Yeah. Pick a side and start with that.
My one line on it is if any and every corner could play wide receiver, they would. So please do it if you can play.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think Richard Sherman, Darrelle Revis, like, when they were kids, wanted to be receivers? Like, yes, they did. If you can be receiver, play receiver. Don't even bother with the defensive side of the ball.
And that's what I think. They should just play him at receiver.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's what you do with him. You brought him in for hype. You traded it for the number 2 pick.
Yep.
The way he'll be seen is being a receiver scoring a touchdown.
And
him locking down a receiver and never having the ball thrown at him is never going to get anybody to look at him.
And that's such grunt work. That's so tiresome. Like, corners, I mean, God bless them. They just don't get the respect they deserve. How hard their job is. It's probably the hardest job in the NFL field.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you just don't respect that if you think Hunter can just come in and play a few plays or something like that.
Because, like I always say, like, by week 6, everybody's hurt. Mm-hmm. Everybody's dinged up. And that's just playing one side of the ball.
Right.
You expect him to be taking on blocks from, receivers and tight ends and then going out and covering passes for 6 weeks of football and then also getting blasted by safeties and linebackers and defensive ends. Yeah. Like, is he going to be able to hold up through an NFL schedule, NFL hits, and be able to wrap his head around all of that?
Yeah, and I mean, I know no one wants to say this, but he didn't hold up through college either. Like, I know there's like all these snap counts, but he missed a lot. I saw him in a hoodie.
Yeah.
Standing on the sidelines a lot.
Yeah.
And I only knew him for 2 years. So
pick a side,
Pick a side. And I feel like I do have hope that they'll see reason. They're trying to sell tickets with this double-sided thing. They're trying to cash in on the Ohtani craze almost.
Yeah.
But the big headline that came out was Hunter to take defensive snaps in second week of rookie minicamp.
Ooh.
That came out. But the headline underlies something else, which is, wait, he's starting with the offense for a whole week?
Yeah.
Like, and then it doesn't say he switches. It says to take defensive snaps. So to me, that was the code I needed to kind of feel like they might do the right thing and keep him on offense.
I mean, they're going to have time to figure this out.
Yeah.
But I don't like them going through training camp trying to push him both ways. I mean, that's just a defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator nightmare. And I think we were talking about this in the draft episode. We got a Thursday night games coming up. I mean, we got 2 game plans we got to do, and Travis Hunter's supposed to be a guy on both sides of the ball that's supposed to do something for both sides of the ball.
Complex.
Who's coaching who? Which room do you go to?
It's too mental at this point.
Yeah.
I agree.
And he's young, so just let him really go into the craft of what he's good at, which I think is more receiver than DB.
And at receiver, he can bring and cash that value of being that number 2 overall pick that they traded that bounty for.
And he's not the guy. Brian Thomas is.
Well, I don't know about that.
He'll get the coverage.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Oh.
I think if Travis Hunter is a star, he exponentially increases Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas by like magnitudes that most teams don't have. Like, he is worth a quarterback almost because of what he would do for Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas. Like, if Hunter's a star, wide receiver 1, that's a huge deal.
This would be big.
Yeah. And it's not a star floundering in the world. He would there's a quarterback there ready.
Yeah. But we've been saying that about Lawrence forever.
Yeah. And I mean, he doesn't throw touchdowns for some freaking reason.
I mean, this has got to be a Lawrence year. I mean, it has to be. Like, if to people,
it's now or never.
To keep having hope in Trevor Lawrence, and we don't just, I mean, there's already people that have written him off. But I think most people are like, yeah, he won that playoff game. Yes, it was bad coaching for, his first 4 years. We finally got him some weapons. This is his time to shine. He's got the contract, nothing to worry about. But if he has a bad year right now, a lot of people are jumping off board.
Yeah.
And like, it's over. Like, we're done with him. We're going to start treating him like he's friggin' Daniel Jones. Yeah. Like,
well, that's why they need. I mean, it's a Malik Neighbors type of thing that they're doing. And even though Malik Neighbors did not help Daniel Jones, it was the type of shock that you needed to do to find out if your quarterback is really the guy. Trevor Lawrence has 69 touchdowns in 60 games.
Jeez.
Like, for comparison, Bortles had 88 in his first 60 games.
Jaguars fans are shaking their heads.
I know, and you don't even want me to start going through Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen and everything like that.
Yeah.
You don't even want me to. Lawrence is barely throwing touchdowns, and it's not just Urban Meyer. He's 75% of his career is without Urban Meyer.
This is his 5th year, right?
Right. This is his 5th year.
Goodness, yeah.
So there's a red flag right there to me.
We're done saying potential. It's now like you got to do it.
Yeah.
You're in your prime.
This is the time.
Yeah.
And they were so hyped last year. We both took the under last year.
Okay.
We just lacked faith in Lawrence. I probably made the same touchdown speech. I probably threw out Blake Bortles last time too. Don't check the tape.
Jaguar fans are like, yeah, he did.
yeah. But the over-under has come down one game. It was 8.5 last year. It's 7.5 as well. So
7.5.
Yeah, so Colts and Jaguars at the 7.5.
Oh man.
The Vegas is just like AFC South is just a big mush of 7.5 gooey middle here. You don't really know. It's like you gotta say that they're gonna be 8 and 9. That's hard to do, but you also not so confident because these AFC South teams, they go on runs, feasting on each other. So
you're like, weak division. Maybe this team takes it this time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gosh,
it's a tough one. But like I was saying in the beginning of talking about the Jags, ignorance is bliss. I think you get a young team that gets hot early. We win a couple games. Maybe Travis Hunter is looking good. Lawrence actually throws more than one touchdown per game. Right. It's Tank Bigsby back there now, and I love Tank Bigsby just for his name.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
He deserves production with that name.
And just a defense, you do not know what you're going to get.
Right.
So, I don't know. Something about me says that they're going to go on a run this year. I can see them. I can see them winning 8. I can see them being in that wild card pack, but maybe not making it, but maybe making it just because they got lucky with some scheduling crap. But I mean, like I'm saying, this is Trevor Lawrence's time. He's getting paid a ton. He's got some weapons. You got to put it together this year. This is the season, and I think maybe he doesn't make the wild card, but he has to. He has to make that wild card if people are going to have faith in him. And I'm going to say, yeah. Okay. I'm going to say it's okay. I think they can pull it off. I think I can get at least 8. I'm
going to break. This is our first disagreement.
Ooh.
I am going to break off. I want Travis Hunter to be a superstar because it will make that second overall pick worth it. And there's a pattern there that I really like. And Brian Thomas Jr. impressed me.
Yeah.
I was against him.
There was garbage time, but he was the only guy on the board. He was still making plays. But
it's Lawrence. I just cannot get behind this guy right now. Why isn't he throwing touchdowns? He's just a passive player, and I just don't know if he can do it. And we didn't talk about the offensive line here.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
It's not looking good either. It's like the Texans. It's like a full competition in training camp across the board.
Yeah.
Which is we want that reset, but also it's indicative of uncertainty. So we have 2 layers of uncertainty. The offensive line, we don't know who they're going to be. And Trevor Lawrence is not throwing touchdowns.
And a mediocre defense. You might be changing my mind here.
Yeah. And 7.5, that's pretty high for that scenario.
That's a lot.
They were 4-13 last year.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me to see them in the top 10 of the NFL draft again. That wouldn't surprise me.
Love it there.
Yeah. They live in that zone. But I don't know. Something tells me
okay. That's
just
fine.
Stupid year, 1 year luck, a bunch of young people running young people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ignorance is bliss is a great take on this because weirder things have happened.
Yeah.
Way weirder things have
happened. This certainly isn't logical. I don't think. I think this is more just a random gut feeling of this could work out this year. They could give a little run for some money here. Just because they're young and stupid.
I love it. I love that. The young and stupid take is perfect. All right. Tennessee Titans.
Finally, we've got there for you, Mr. Tennessee fan.
Mr. Tennessee fan, you held through.
Can we please talk about Cam Ward?
3-14 last year towards the number 1 overall pick. They rode Will Levis's mayonnaise-covered disaster coaster.
Yep.
They just absolutely tanked. surprise, Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd were, instead of one man's trash being another man's treasure, it was one man's trash is also another team's trash, because it was Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd, for crying out loud.
Yep. Just a urine-soaked recliner.
And just
my Tyler Boyd comparison.
Tyler Boyd. Oh my God. And they're just like, their roster was depleted. The incompetent GMing that pissed off Mike Vrabel back in the year before that has just kind of come to sow. And now they're finally taking their first wobbly steps back into what they hope is competition. Second year for Brian Canals and a new quarterback. The first overall pick, Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. Will he be good? That is the question, and it just seems like nobody's even asking it.
Honestly,
it just seems like everyone's just okay with this guy being a mediocre quarterback. No, like there's.
It really feels like he's already in the 15 to 20 range.
Yeah,
like no one's talking about Cam Ward.
If he busted, nobody would care. If he does great, people would be like, "Oh, Cam Ward's doing all right." Yeah. Like there's just no expectation for this guy because there's no expectation for Tennessee.
The whole thing has just such a somber tone to it. Like Tennessee gets the first overall pick, looks at the quarterback class. They see Cam Ward, who even last year was probably the 7th guy off the board coming out of the WSU, by the way. Would have been a Cougar at that point, drafted. But did one more super duper senior year and got this reward. But
good reward.
It was a good reward. I mean, it was good on him to do it. But
good Cam Ward. Going off the rails.
And that's my evaluation of Cam Ward. He would have been the 7th best quarterback last year, so I don't think he's going to do it this year. I think he is going to bust, and I kind of feel bad for him.
I think he'll have hiccups, but like something about Tennessee just like reeks of we don't really care about the quarterback. Yeah, we just want you to be a competent, like Brock Purdy. Like we want everything else to be working. We want to have a good run game. We got Pollard and Spears. Like we want to have that be the 1-2 punch. We want to start building the defense. I love what they did in the 2 previous drafts, drafting Skowronski and C.J. Latham as tackles. So they went offensive line first, and then they got the quarterback.
I do approve of that pattern.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Lions.
They're protecting
they didn't draft
him.
A quarterback, but yeah.
So I feel like he'll be afforded the opportunity to actually get good looks. He's not going to have this Caleb Williams where I'm running around for my life because they never addressed the line before they took the quarterback.
Right.
They took the line, and now they brought this guy in. They have pieces around him that could work, and then they're just going to figure out what he actually likes. So maybe it doesn't come together this year, but I feel like he's actually got a good opportunity to learn in his first season. Doesn't have to be successful. Yeah. It could be, 6-11 or whatever the heck the record is at 6 wins. Like,
right? It is 6-11, yeah.
And I bet that's the over and under, but
yeah, it's 5.5.
Oh God.
God, they
classic, man. They're so good at this crap. Oh, but like if he does that and shows some improvement, has like some touchdowns and not so many interceptions, he's not doing a Will Levis where he's just trying to make plays happen. Just taking let's get first downs. Let's just improve game to game. Let's keep things close and slow and stupid. Nobody's looking at us. Let's just kind of make sure we're good by December. That way when we come into the next offseason, we can build around Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And see what he actually likes to work with. I like where they're set up. I don't think this is the year, but I think that Cam Ward actually has an opportunity to learn the way a rookie quarterback should learn.
Well, as a prospect, I'm not pumped about Cam Ward, but I think you've helped me see the path to success. And I really like the idea that Cam Ward could kind of trudge, a really ball control offense under an offensive line that solidifies, because they've got a lot of young pieces, a lot of investment there. A lot of times what happens on NFL teams is just an offensive line getting good all of a sudden. And they do have Bill Callahan, not their head coach Bill Callahan, but his father, who is one of the all-time offensive line coaches.
Yeah. He's going to figure that thing out.
Yeah, so that's kind of the path I could see. As we said, the over-under is 5.5. If they're going to get over that, it's going to be 12 to 10 games where the offensive line has dominated, where people are like, why are Tony Pollard and was it Spears? Is Spears still
Spears? Yeah, and I like
why
him.
Why are Tony Pollard and Spears so good in fantasy all of a sudden? Like, why did the Cowboys let Pollard go? Like that type, I could see that path.
Yeah.
Before you started talking, I had no path for the Titans. So I have one in my mind at least.
It's not Cam Ward carrying the team. Yeah. It's just that he's got pieces around him. I like the Ridley. They brought in Tyler Lockett, so they got some veteran receivers that can tell him, "This is how I want the ball."
They're toast.
I know they're toast, but they can tell him. They can be like, you missed this in film. They could be like, dude, this is the thing.
Titan guys listening, like, okay,
yeah, Westbrook and Kenya, like. He's shown some flashes. Maybe he meshes with Ward, but obviously the receiver core is the next step. Like, what does Cam Ward like throwing at? Does he like throwing at a Ridley? Like throwing at a Lockett? You like a Westbrook and Kenya? They're just playing their cards here. Like, what's he gonna like this year? And then we'll go from there.
This is so fitting. The boring team that wins more games than you expect.
Yeah.
And the with the 5.5 line, like, God dang it. I don't want to switch any, but I feel like I might. You might have convinced me.
I might have got you because I'm going 6. If the line's 5.5, I think they get over that.
So you are going over?
Yeah.
Well,
I think the Colts are the dumpster fire in this year's AFC South.
We both took the under on the Colts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We both took over on Texans, under on Colts. I went under on Jaguars. You went over. Oh, yeah. I'm going to join you. I'm going to join you over on the Titans.
Okay.
This ugly offensive line-driven thing. The defense, obviously they were all so bad. You don't get the first overall pick.
Because you had a good defense, yeah.
But, I think that they were just overwhelmed, too. Like, Will Levis put them in so many bad positions.
Yeah.
They still have Jeffrey Simmons. They still have some pieces there. We're talking about 6 games. So we're talking about a 6-11 record to get to. You know what? You got me.
I like it.
You got me. I'm over on the Titans.
The Callahans and Cam Ward.
Even though okay.
It's going to take till November till somebody goes like, you know what? Cam Ward was the number 1 overall pick this year.
Yeah.
Titans have won 3 games. This is kind of nice. Like,
yeah. See,
do they have a chance?
I could see like a 3-1 start.
Yeah.
And they finished 6-11 or 7-10, but like I could see something like that.
Something to give them some hope and be like, you know what? We can't just sleep on this team completely.
Yeah. Did you know that Cam Ward was a Cougar?
I did not know that.
So I didn't even realize it was the same Ward.
Was he there for the whole time? Like
he was there. Well, no,
just
the last
constant
year,
transfer portal. Like
2 years at Cougars.
Okay,
he transferred 3 times in his career, but he played one of the Apple Cups and crushed us.
Yeah,
us being the Washington Huskies in this case. To those who probably don't know.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, man, whatever happened to that guy? What's the same guy?
And here
it's
he
Cam
is.
Ward.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, I don't pay attention a lot to the Cougs unless they're nationally relevant. So
right.
It's not surprising.
And usually they're not. So
exactly.
Well, and the Huskies are up and down as well. So, but I mean, I think this division's got some surprises. AFC South, you never know what you're gonna get.
That's right.
And there was, it used to be the thing you go from worst to first, and that happened for like 3 or 4 seasons. So
do you think the Texans are going to make it 3 in a row AFC South titles?
I think they're better built than everybody else, barring some injuries. We didn't even mention Nick Chubb being a Texan. So
that's right.
I like that.
I'm rooting
still
for him,
rooting
but
for him.
Just don't see that.
But I think the Texans are better built. They're running a better program.
Yeah.
I can see them winning that division again.
Yeah,
it's not too out of a reach, and it's hard to pick one of these 3 to beat them.
I know.
It doesn't seem like they're in the same class.
The bars are just so low when we had just talked Colts, Jaguars, Titans compared to the Texans. And it's funny because the Texans are like a tier below Bengals, Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, so it's like everything down here is just
the poor AFC South, man.
That's AFC South football.
It's going to be that way for a while.
That's why we started with them, just to get the rust off here.
Oh, yeah. But, there'll be some surprises, and keep your eye on them for fantasy purposes. There's always a dude out here.
Exactly.
So, but should, be an interesting division. I'm starting to root for Cam Ward. I'm talking myself into it.
You talked me into it, too. A surprising ending for the podcast where Miles and Kirk come around
and agree
to the
on
Titans.
something.
All right, my name's Miles.
I'm Kirk.
We'll be back with the NFC South tomorrow. Good.